Peace, all peace family. Let's talk about this card. Okay, Five of Water. The Five of Water represents feeling of fear, doubt, and hopelessness that can cloud our minds and hearts and give rise to confusion, misunderstanding, and anger. These emotions are often born of our own pain or insecurities, and can cloud our ability to see the love that surrounds us. Okay? One way that we arrive to this type of feelings is through our past traumas. Right? Our past traumas affect us on a deep level. All right? On a level that stays with us. Okay? Stays with us until our adulthood lives, and as we try to live our lives as normal as possible, okay, we find ourselves dealing with such things as doubt, fear, hopelessness, okay, confusion, mistrusting, okay, misunderstanding, anger, not trusting people, okay. All of this stems from traumas, okay, from our past traumas. If you want to see how trauma affects us in a movie setting, check out the movie Atlas. Okay, Atlas, Atlas with Jennifer Lopez. Okay, this movie here to a T shows us how trauma, past trauma, left unresolved, left unchecked, affect our lives, present day, right? A lot of us have trauma, okay? You have to deal with your trauma, This is probably when you'll hear the word shadow work, okay? Shadow work involves looking or dealing or processing your past traumas, right? Okay. Yeah. So you don't want to shelve or put away or sweep under the rug a trauma. I don't care what it is. Your trauma is, or our traumas are, should I say, for us. Our traumas were meant for us individually, okay, to allow us to grow, allow us to experience, okay, and learn, all right? And for some of us, teach others, all right, about how to deal with past traumas, okay? So let me read some more. All too often, when we experience a moment of great hurt or loss, we can feel alone, as if no one could possibly understand the depth of anguish we are feeling, whether it be at the end of a marriage or friendship, the death of a loved one, or a battle with mental illness. We can sometimes find ourselves weighed down by pain and suffering and blind to the beauty and love that surround us. Right? When you haven't dealt with your traumas, it's hard to see the good in life, the love that's here, that this wonderful place we call Earth has to offer. It's hard. It's more difficult. Okay? That's why it's better, or it's important, or it's essential, or it's to address your past traumas. Okay? The loss of any kind causes us to experience a range of emotions, including sadness, fear, confusion, guilt, regret, anger, and betrayal. Sometimes we can even experience a complete absence of emotion. Yeah, that's when you shut shut down. Okay, when you check out. All right, when your soul, your spirit checks out. Okay, you just blank. You're not even reacting. You're not even reacting to life anymore. To think of the future serves only to add to the burden of sorrow, right? When you think about the future, you don't need to be so focused on the future. Okay? To think of the future serves only to add to the burden of sorrow. All right? The Five of Water is a challenging card because it is not one that offers any real comfort. Loss is something we all experience. And if we are already vulnerable, all right, from trauma, and sensitive to hurt, then it can be overwhelming. Okay? The Five of Water symbolizes a need to allow yourself to work through your grief and to take as much time as you need. That's right. Allow the emotions to flow and flow along with them like water, but not to the extent that they threaten to overwhelm and will overwhelm you, or have a lashing, or you lashing out at others. Excuse me. Okay. If you find yourself, screaming on folks at the drop of a dime, or arguing over some of the most pettiest things, all right? Thinking, or when someone triggers you, okay, that's something you have to deal with within you, all right? No one should have that much control over you, okay? Triggering you to the point where you gotta be yelling and fighting, screaming on them because of something they did, right? Okay? Look within. You need to remember that you have people around you who love you. Look up. Look up. While you may feel alone, you're not alone. There are people around you who have also experienced loss. They know, they understand. Allow them to be there for you in your time of need. Okay? There's always someone around for you. There's always someone there. All right? There are more people willing to listen to you and help then there are people who will not listen to you or will not help. Okay? So, let's move on to another card. How about that? Let's move on to another card for after you have dealt with your traumas. There's a reward on the other end. Okay, the Two of Water. All right, the Two of Water represents a relationship that has moved beyond infatuation and physical attraction, because if you haven't dealt with your traumas, your relationship more than likely will stay in the infatuation, which doesn't last long, and physical attraction stage, which doesn't last as long either. If you find yourself in relationships that are always cutting short, say maybe a year or two at the most, okay, it's because you have trauma you haven't dealt with yet. So let me read on. Okay, a relationship to one that is built upon a foundation of deeper mutual love is what you're going to get. Respect, trust, and shared interests and values. It symbolizes a meeting of the mind and the heart that is free of desire to possess or control, right? When you are dealing with trauma, you want to be in control of everything. And that doesn't stop with the next person. You want to control that person as well, okay? This is why it's important to deal with trauma, okay? This relationship is a unification of two hearts and minds, not with the purpose of becoming whole or to complete each other, but with the intent to share, to enrich, and to enhance each other's lives. This is a time of giving, sharing, and communication. Okay? It's not about you guys gelling into one person per se. It's about sharing each other's experiences and looking at each other's experiences through the other's eyes. Okay? That's what it's about. A relationship is founded on intimacy, to share your thoughts, feelings, goals, and fears with the one you love is to be intimate. To hold them, to listen, to share interests is to be intimate. To show affection by reaching out, to stroke their cheek, or hold their hand is to be intimate. The Two of Hearts. That card, it used to be a song as well, Two of Hearts. Go look it up, y'all. The Two of Hearts ultimately symbolizes intimacy within a relationship. And isn't it funny too, let me stop for a sec, that in the game of spades, I like the game of spades, if you're not sure. In the game of spades, they take out the Two of Hearts. I guess if you play that way, all right? There's different ways of playing. But they take out the Two of Hearts. I wonder why. Let's move on. The Two of Hearts ultimately symbolizes intimacy within a relationship, okay? That playing card. It also represents a time of forgiveness and reconciliation, all right? If a rift has developed between lovers or friends, now is the time to let go of the hurt and anger. Put aside judgment and blame, and do not allow arrogance, wounded pride, or ego to destroy a relationship. Okay? These are all the things, once you deal with your trauma, you can easily achieve. Where you can, take responsibility for your own choices and actions within the relationship. Okay, this is something very important to heed. Okay, it's not the other person, it's you. Okay? Be mindful of how they have impacted and influenced that relationship. The tool of water invites you to communicate, to forgive, or apologize now. All right? So, in closing, let me say that what happens to you is because you had to experience it, okay, and you have allowed it, okay? So let's deal with our traumas and improve the quality of our lives. I hope this message has helped someone. I'll talk to y'all soon.